Hey everybody, it's Charlie K. I'm coming at you today live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about publicity, how to get the word out about your campaigns and events. Alongside me is Benjamin Weyl, who's going to give us a different perspective. If you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, yeah, I'm Ben Weyl. I'm a reporter at Congressional Quarterly, a Capitol Hill-based newspaper, and I'm here to give my input on what it's like to be a member of the press who receives a lot of these press calls.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for helping out.
Happy to be here.
So first of all, I just want to go over some fundamentals about dealing with the press and getting attention on your campaign. So first of all, keep in mind you are doing journalists a favor by sharing what you're doing with them. Is that pretty much accurate?
Yeah, definitely. You're trying to do your job, and you want all the help you can get, really.
Absolutely. So you're actually helping journalists to do their job by getting the word out about what you're doing at your job. So also keep in mind, journalists are really concerned with facts and information more so than opinions. Is that the case?
Yeah, there's a lot of opinion out there all over the web on the left and the right, and you really, as a reporter, want to know what's going on really, truthfully.
What could be proven, the actual fact.
Yes, exactly.
So keep that in mind when you're dealing with the press. While you may have very good opinions that you can articulate well, factual information is going to actually make that reporter want to talk to you more. Also, keep in mind that the same story can be framed in very different ways that can drastically affect how popular that story becomes. So a story could virtually be ignored if it's framed in the wrong light. An example I want to talk about is what happened in New Brunswick over the summer when the city council tried to pass the bulk garbage moratorium. And I think we'll try to get you guys a copy of the press release we sent out there. It was basically, Ben, can you tell us when you're looking at a press release, you probably get a bunch of press releases. What are some things that make a press release stand out and make you want to follow up about it?
So what really matters to me, or what I'll pause to read a press release if I know that it's really geared toward me. Okay, so what that means is make sure that the publication you're sending your press release to and the reporter you're sending your press release to is going to care about it. So you shouldn't send this release about New Brunswick-based news to someone in Princeton, New Jersey. They probably won't care, or Philadelphia. Like in the end, that doesn't mean anything to them. So know your audience in a sense, and definitely, what you were saying in terms of framing. Think of a way that's going to catch their eye and catch this reporter's eye. Maybe they have a certain beat or an issue that they really are interested in, and that's what you really want to hook onto.
Okay, cool. So, I think what we're getting at here is like the idea of angles, having an angle on your story. So, for instance, for example, with the bulk garbage moratorium the city tried to pass, that was a law that was going to hurt a lot of people. But we thought that the way to get the most attention on it was to focus on the Rutgers angle, the students who would be affected that live in New Brunswick in rental properties. So by highlighting that, the story became relevant to statewide outlets like the Star-Ledger, and we were able to get really prominent coverage in that outlet. So please take a look at that release. You'll notice that we led with Rutgers University. It says here, Rutgers students fight city proposal for garbage pickup moratorium. That was what we led with in our subject line, and then the headline also led with Rutgers University. So that's just one example. Now I just want to take you through sort of the basic processes that an organization or an individual would do to make sure they get the most press coverage, the most media attention possible. And so I think most folks, they have what's called like a media list. Is that pretty much how it works?
Yeah, if as a reporter, if I want to make sure I'm getting the news from a certain group or individual, I'll try to get on their press list. But I might not know that I want to be on your press list. So it's important to reach out to reporters and, send them stuff, put them on your list. The worst that happens is they say, take me off the list.
Right. So basically, folks are supposed to assemble really as much contact information for folks that work in outlets that cover your region. So if we're talking about Central New Jersey, we definitely have several newspapers: the Star-Ledger, the Home News Tribune, the Daily Targum, the student paper as well. But you also have TV stations whose turf is New Jersey, and radio stations that can be heard in New Jersey. So how would you advise people track down the contact info for the right people? Is it just searching the web, Googling? Is that the right way to do it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, search the web, Google, try to read the publications, and try to watch the news programs and find the reporters who you think would be interested in your stories, and I'm sure it's a lot easier to find their contact info than you think, So really knowing where to look is important.
Yeah, reporters have like assignments or beats that they cover.
Exactly.
So for a certain town or for like Rutgers University, for instance, there's probably already a reporter whose job it is to focus just on that.
Certainly, yeah.
So you want to really try to find the people who are assigned to your beat and make sure that they're included on your press list. You want to really get as many ways to contact them as possible. So that might be an email address and hopefully a phone number, but even like a fax number. You guys still have a fax machine at
I think
CQ,
we do have a
right?
fax machine, yeah.
So definitely as many ways as you can get at them as possible. Moving on, once you have your press list, you're going to really want to effectively reach out to those folks. So you're not going to just randomly call a few people here or there or just send an email here or there. You'll actually craft statements that you'll be able to release to the press. So there's two main types of statements: a press release and a press advisory. What's the difference between those two?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but a press advisory in general, you're in a sense letting reporters know that an event is going to take place, that something's going to happen that really reporters should be on the lookout for. And a press release is, in a sense, you're writing an article. You're saying, here's what happened or here's what's happening. You'll provide some quotes, which is helpful to reporters because it gives them either a ready-made quote to use, or if they want to go dig a little deeper, they can call you and ask, to talk to that person or talk to you and whatnot. And it's a bit more full information.
Cool. So basically, the press advisory is usually a little shorter. It's about something that's happening in the future, and you probably don't need any quotes in it.
Right, no quotes.
Just really the who, what, why, where, and when of whatever is going to be going on.
It's almost an alert, for a reporter.
Right, a heads up.
Heads up, right.
Okay, so when you're doing that, you're definitely going to want to lead with the most significant or hot information. So if it's a demonstration and you're expecting 100 people there, you want to lead with the fact that there's going to be a lot of people there. If there's an event where you have a prominent speaker or someone who has a big name, you'll probably want to lead with them. If the event is targeting somebody like the president of the university or the governor, and that's really the main point, you'll want to point that out in your advisory. Focus it around the biggest thing. Just some tips: you always want to have a contact on every statement you send to the press. The contact person does not necessarily have to be the person who wrote the advisory or the release, but it should be a person who's going to pick up their phone when they're called and be able to eloquently speak to the press and stay on message. So
and I can't stress this enough. It is so important to have contact information, and I mean a phone number, I mean an email address
at the top, right?
At the
First
top.
thing at the top.
Put it in the top right-hand corner, something like that. Too many press releases I get, and I'm interested in it, and I have no way to get in touch.
You don't know how to get more info.
Right.
Okay. Well, so definitely don't make that rookie mistake. Always have contact info, and like we said, for an advisor, you want the who, the when, the where, and also, what I find is a good strategy when you're emailing folks in the press is to use the BCC field of your email address. So you don't send their email out to all of their competition, basically.
Especially, someone will reply all inevitably, and it's an embarrassment for everybody.
Right. Nobody wants to be associated with that. So take care of your press contacts. Make sure when you're emailing them that you put those email addresses in the BCC field. Also, just good practice would be to put your statement in the body of the email rather than an attachment, but also include a PDF version or a Word document as an attachment. You think that's a good?
Yeah, I think have it as an attachment, but I personally like to see it in the email. Sometimes a computer has problems. It's not easy to open up an attachment, especially on maybe a smartphone.
Right. So it's always good to make sure you're
put it in the email itself.
The full text should be in the body of your email.
Definitely.
Great. Now, something that you're going to do if you have an event coming up and you want to follow up with the press, you must get hundreds of emails about events. Do you ever go to events that somebody doesn't call you about, or do you only go if people call you?
If I don't know about it, I can't go to it. And so I'm usually not going to something unless I get an email or a phone call.
Right. And do emails sometimes get lost in the shuffle?
Emails can get lost in the shuffle. I personally like emails more than phone calls or voicemail, in part because I'm often away from my desk.
Right.
And so, I might not be able to answer the phone, and voicemails can be kind of a pain. With email, you can get it anywhere. So I find that to be
cool.
Nice.
Well, that's one man's preference. Obviously, some folks do prefer the phone.
Sure.
And you really want to make sure that if there's somebody that you want at the event, that you don't just email them and hope that they got it, that you actually place a call to their phone, or their cell phone or their office line, and try to get them on the phone live and verify, did you get it? Do you know about the event? Can you join us?
It's a lot easier for me to ignore an email than a phone call.
Right. So that's really the point we're trying to make here. So when you send out that advisory, let's say you send out your advisory to everybody at 8:30 a.m., at 9 a.m. you should start making calls to the folks that you want to make sure they got it.
Sure.
And take that opportunity to also, chat them up about the event, maybe play up some of the angles that they might want to cover it for. Basically, when you're doing a release, would be the type of thing you would do after an event or about something that's currently going on. Basically, like Ben said, it's just an article. So when you're doing a release, you want to really follow the model of a newspaper article. And what is the best way? What would you say is the best way for people to do that? Just read the paper and try to imitate it, or?
Well, the most common structure of an article is called the inverted pyramid. All right, and you're basically putting the most important information at the top, and as it goes down, it's less and less important, because that way, if I don't read the last line or two, that's okay. I still get all the information.
Right. So the most important facts and information go first,
and then if you don't read to the end, that's okay.
And you usually find short sentences are better, or
yeah, keep it short, keep it direct.
No big paragraphs or long quotes.
You want to do everything you can to encourage them to keep reading.
So the shorter, the better.
In a sense, if it's just a solid, long paragraph of text, your eyes might glaze over. And that's the same for an article I write.
Right. So definitely quotes are a good thing to include. That way the reporter will have some actual person they can quote. You want to make sure that your quotes are approved. Don't put words in somebody else's mouth. So usually it's a good idea to ask them what they want their quote to be and maybe work with them on it to make sure that it's on message and exactly what you want. Just one last tip with press releases. Make sure you pick up your phone and follow up with the reporters. I know some people who've missed out on an opportunity to get coverage just because they didn't pick up their phone or return a voicemail message. Definitely, if you're putting yourself out there, if you're putting this information out there, be available to answer questions reporters might have. It'll help you get the press coverage.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to try to form relationships with these people. Especially if it's someone who you want to who you want to be covering your events for a long period of time. It helps to meet them. Go for a cup of coffee. You don't even have to have an event or a story for them to cover. Reporters are constantly trying to develop sources. Okay, trying to meet people who will be able to tell them important information and stories later on. Maybe not even right then and there. And so, in that sense, try to cultivate a relationship is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And you might learn something from the reporter too.
Oh, certainly.
So definitely in terms of cultivating those relationships, just some good tips are before you're going to call this reporter and ask them if they got the release and they're going to come to your event, search their name on Google. See if they have a Twitter account. See what stories they've written before. It's a great way to start a conversation to be able to say, I saw the story you wrote about X, Y, or Z. I really liked it. I want to give you the heads up about something else related.
Reporters like to be flattered. It's true.
Everybody does.
That's true.
Everybody does. So definitely, I hope some of these tips are helpful for you guys. And thank you, Ben, for joining us.
Sure.
Guys, keep up the great work. God bless. We love you. Go Rutgers.